wrestling fans, and welcome to another episode of the internationally known Dudes at Ringside podcast. I'm your host, Joe the Panther the Third, and wow, awesome day, May 1st. It's always May because it's gonna be May. Well, it's May. I have an awesome guest today. Introduce yourself, sir.
Hey, what's going on, man? My name is the career killer, Chris Miller.
Awesome, Chris. Awesome. Welcome to Dudes at Ringside, internationally known. Um, so who trained you?
So, legendary Steve Boz. He's been my trainer. So he's been training me for 11 years. I've been with the man for a long time. Another man, Willie the Bomb Richardson, another good man that's trained me and stuff like that. So, yeah, I've been wrestling for 11 years now, and Steve Boz and Willie Richardson's taught me a lot.
Wow. Wow. So like what kind of advice did they give you that you put into your wrestling?
I mean, so Steve Boz is kind of like old school, so he's taught me like a lot of theory wise on matches and stuff like that. He's taught me like a lot of like just like how the structure of matches and stuff like that. He's told me like what it used to be like back in the day, and then Willie Richardson was like he was like kind of opposite, like they would have their different kind of styles, So it's like I learned two different styles from two different guys.
Oh wow. So like you said two different styles. Like what kind of styles, if you want to touch on that, would you say
Well,
that it
because
was?
So Steve Boz, he's more like he's because he's in good shape. He's more like that, like I want to say high flying kind of deal. He's more like he does like a lot of flying stuff like that. He does like all kinds like technical stuff. And then Willie's nothing. He's a brawler, so he's more snug and stiff, a crowbar, if you would say.
I'm familiar with Crowbar. Like he wrestles at ISPW in New Jersey a lot. Yeah.
Gotcha, got.
Is there any other places in the country or the world that you would like to perform and you haven't been to yet?
I never been across the sea yet. I never been over by over to Japan and stuff like that. I never been like I've wrestled probably all around Chicago. I wrestled in Wisconsin, Indiana, but I wouldn't mind going to Japan. Japan seems like a nice place to wrestle out there, and you know, so yeah, I definitely would like to go out there sometime.
Awesome. Is there anybody on your wish list to wrestle that you haven't had a chance to wrestle? You've seen like on the social medias or like on YouTube's that you're like, oh, I want to wrestle that person so bad.
At this point now, at this point, I wrestle about just about everyone. For the longest time though, I wanted to wrestle Marsha Rocket. Marsha Rocket was another guy that I kind of like when I started, like when I started wrestling, I never asked him, but he was always behind the curtain just watching my matches all the time. He'd always give me good feedback and stuff. And for the longest time, like, see, one of my goals was to get a chance to wrestle everyone. So, like, and he was like the last guy on that list, and there's quite a few other people out there I have not wrestled yet. Like, there's another guy, his name is Nick Brubaker. I'm sure you've heard of that name.
Sounds
And he's
familiar. Yes,
another,
yes.
I would like to, I haven't wrestled him. Um, Yeah, so but like I mean, there's a lot of other people out there I haven't wrestled yet, but like I mean, as far as I know of right now, I have nobody on the list right now.
Mm. Is there any like forbidden door like from anybody from the past that doesn't wrestle anymore, or like anybody that's left us that you would want to wrestle that you would wanted to wrestle but then they left us too soon?
Oh, of course, I mean, I always wanted to wrestle like or are we gonna talk? Are we talk about the big leagues now, or
Yeah, like the big leagues, the big
okay?
people.
I always wanted to wrestle like I always wanted to like wrestle the Undertaker. I always thought the Undertaker would be nice to wrestle. And like I actually because like one thing about me like I have a good reputation on being a very good worker. Like everybody, I'm very easy to work. I never hurt no one, so I feel like I could wrestle any kind of style, any kind of pace, whatever. But I always like to like try to wrestle the Undertaker. And then of course I wouldn't mind wrestling Eddie Guerrero either. We lost Eddie Guerrero.
Mm,
So, but I'm sure, well, there's a lot of bigger guys too. One of my favorite wrestlers too that I would love to wrestle was Kurt Angle. I always loved Kurt Angle.
mm,
So,
yeah. Here we go. This is the fun. This like goes to start going to the fun questions. Do
okay.
you collect anything?
I collect a lot of old wrestling DVDs. I have a lot of old wrestling action figures. I have a couple of old wrestling belts. Couple of T-shirts, but like I mean, mostly if it's anything in collecting, I collect a lot of wrestling DVDs and stuff.
Okay.
So I've always went and just like because I like to watch a lot of the old stuff, and sometimes I'll find them on like of course now with the network it's awesome, but before then I used to have like a lot of I have one whole section just full of just wrestling DVDs.
Wow. That's cool. It's like, what is your
Yeah.
favorite one that you have in your whole collection that none of your friends have?
Uh, I don't know. That's a hard one. I'm trying to think. Like, see, I didn't watch like a lot of the '80s stuff. Like, I did watch some of it, but like I didn't start watching till like almost probably like 98, 99. That's what kind of started it. Uh, I can't say I have everything that somebody else hasn't, but like I have like a lot of a lot of good old matches and stuff like that. I was always a fan of the ladder match. The ladder matches were always fun. It's funny too. I That's the only match I've not had in 11 years. I've had just about
Wow.
every match but a ladder match.
You hear that, promoters?
Yeah,
He needs to do a ladder
that's
match.
ladder match is the only one on that list that I have not had. I've just about achieved about everything. I haven't won a world title yet, but I've won about at least 9 championships now. I've just about had every match but the ladder match. Yeah.
Mm, mm. So, is are there like is any do you have any stories from the ring that you're allowed that you want to share with us today?
Sure. So what kind of stories would you like? Just any kind or
Like something from a match that you had, and then like that you can't get out of your head, like a good moment, like your first
oh, like
match, I
so
guess.
okay. I haven't say there's a lot of good matches I've had. Like just last night at Northland Pro Wrestling. At Northland Pro Wrestling last night I wrestled Steve Oz, actually.
Wow.
And him and I like I can dude, I've wrestled him like 100 times now. Him and I have good chemistry. I love working with that guy. Um I wrestled Willie a few years ago. Him and I had a big feud in 2019. 2019 was our rivalry year because we went from last man standing matches to loser leaves the show for 90 days, lumberjack matches, I quit matches. Willie always he took me to the limit a lot. Like he's probably the reason why I am how I am today. Because I'm like probably the biggest best heel right now at Chicago Star Wrestling because I wrestle for Chicago Star. I wrestle for a lot of companies, but Chicago Star Wrestling is my home company, and I'm like the biggest heel there. And
Mm,
if it wasn't for that man, Willie Richardson, I wouldn't be. He's like I said, he's done a lot for me. Boss has done a lot for me. I've had a lot of good matches with Marcia Rocket. That's another guy that I'm very good at working with. Like I said, I'm very good at working with a lot, but those three guys right there, I've had really good matches with.
mm. Um, do you what is like your favorite food when you go out on the road, like restaurant wise or like chain?
Restaurant. Oh, okay. So I do like pizza. Pizza's always good. My friend. I mean, it's so. I'm trying to think what I like to eat. I you know. Oh, I'm a very big steak eater. I love steak. I like it doesn't. I mean, I go to the roadhouses. I go to the steak houses. If I'm out there, I converse. I love eating steak. So steak is definitely one of my favorite foods when I'm out on the road.
Awesome. Um, is there anything that like you do before a match that like you want to share with us tonight?
Anything I do. Oh, I just well basically well. Wow, it's hard because like what some of the shows I work, like obviously like I wrestled Friday and Saturday, and also I had to work my shoot job too because I work at a hospital, and
Mm,
sometimes after the hospital I got like I have so I go from there to the show. So show days are always the worst because I got to do a lot of running around, all kinds of stuff. I have to get my gear together. I got to wash my gear. I got to make sure I have everything all packed up. And then of course, my job they have private bathrooms with showers in it, so I shower there and go to the show and stuff like that. So then when so then I pretty much just like warm up. I try to get like really nice and stretched. I don't like to just come and go. I like to like get settled in. And get like very comfortable, and then try to hopefully like know what I'm doing because sometimes we don't know what we're doing, but sometimes we do. Like It's Friday. I had a falls count anywhere match actually, and we wrestled for the entire show almost.
Oh
So
wow.
basically, but was prepared for it, and I was getting ready for it. That's exactly, I was getting ready for that. So if we're gonna talk about that one, so basically, I had to go get some. I had to go get some couple chairs. I had to get all my gear ready. I had to get my clothes ready to shower after my job. Did a lot of running around and stuff like that, and yeah. So show days are always the hard because you always have to do a lot of just. There's so much you have to do before the show.
Mm.
It never goes right, especially the travel too, because there's traffic, there's trains out there. Me and trains don't get along. I always get caught by a train every time on the way to a show.
Yep. I've gone to the city to see my sister, and like I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get this train, and I'm little, so I could run down the stairs to Secaucus Junction like I'm like Rocky in the movie doing the
Yeah.
stair thing. There's always that one old lady that's on the top of the stairs, just taking her time, and I'm like, don't want to kill you, and I do the ding ding go around her, and she just looks at me like, yeah, damn
Yeah.
old bastard. And I'm
Okay.
like, didn't want to nail you. It's like always upstairs or downstairs that I always catch that one slow poke. Um,
So
so if if there was and if there's any young people that are in the wrestling business right now watching this interview, what kind of advice would you give them on the start of their journey?
the first thing I'm gonna say is crawl before you walk. Okay, start fresh because I can't tell you. So it's funny you bring that up because I actually am probably like I've been, like I said, I've been in the business for 11 years. I've also trained a lot of younger wrestlers too now. Like some of the wrestlers now are I've trained, I've helped them get through matches. I try to give back, I try to help them out. I'm like, see, I'm not one of those. I don't like to be one of those veterans that tries to talk down to rookies because I mean that's never happened to me, but I've heard reputations on some other people that have it. So I never wanted to be that kind of person. I'm always easy to talk to. You want to come to me for advice. But there's a lot of talents that come in that sometimes are just gifted because they pick it up quicker. They're fast learners, and once they get that first couple matches, then they start to grow a big head, and then they want to overshot. They want to over like shoot it and like just go faster. They want to skip the crawling and start sprinting. So I always try to tell people. I said, I mean, you're very good, you're very athletic, but don't overdo it. Like you got to crawl, you got to walk, you got to run, you got to sprint. People like to shoot straight to the top. So like I said, I can't tell you how they're. I mean, because I'm not gonna lie, I've been around for 11 years. There's a lot of younger guys that are probably more athletic than I am. They have good athleticism, but they have no charisma. You know, I
Mm,
can't see. I've seen it come and go, but a lot of guys, and then of course, then there's younger guys that want to do all the hardcore stuff. And then their careers end shortly and stuff like that. But like for a lot of younger guys, you cannot just overdo it. You can't like overshot it. You got to crawl. Because like one of the girls, I trained some women wrestlers too. And she had her first match last night, but she was trying to run before she crawled. She was trying to overdo it. I mean, this is only your first match. I mean, you don't have to like for younger guys when they have their first match, you don't call a lot of stuff. I always tell them like take your time, don't rush through stuff. Like let the like you got like I always tell people all the time too. There's a lot of younger guys that come up to me and they always ask me, "Did you see my match?" No, I didn't have to see your match because I didn't hear the crowd. If I don't hear the crowd making any noise, I don't have to watch it because you're not doing your job. If I hear the
mhm.
crowd like last night at Northland, every match was on point. The crowd was hot for everybody's match. So like I always tell people, if the crowd's not into it, then there's no point of it. So like again for all the younger talents that are any future wrestlers that want to do this, any younger people, any people that are still in the business that are a couple years in, you got to crawl before you walk.
Oh gosh, that's awesome advice, Chris. Thank you so much for doing that. Do you have any
You're
upcoming
welcome.
shows?
So I have about so in May, I have about like a good 7 shows in May. So I only had 2 shows in April, so I have so the next show I have is March 5th. It's called Fusion. It's basically it's like our it's kind of like for it's younger guys against old guys, kind of like newcomers work old talents. So it's easy for some of the like some of the newer guys to get some exposures and stuff like that. And then I wrestle for Chicago Star Wrestling. That's Chicago Stars every third Friday. That's my home show. So and at Friday we just had Rhino. Rhino was at our show Friday.
Wow,
And then
Rhino.
yeah, he's a real cool guy. I didn't make it. I didn't make it in time, but he did a seminar with all the younger guys there, and all the younger guys got to learn from him because he's a really cool guy. I've not it's not that I've met him a few times not before, but he did a seminar with all the younger talents. A lot of people got some good. They got a good opportunity to work with him and stuff like that. And then there's I do some lucha companies. I do there's another company I do. It's called Damage for Wrestling that's up in Rockford. So I have about like a good 7 to 8 shows in May. So like they're just all over.
Mm. Do you have any merch that if our fans want to pick up, they where can they find
So
it?
so what I've been doing now, so I come to the ring with this sledgehammer, and I basically I propped it and made it look differently, and I call it Christine. So basically, the sledgehammer is called Christine, and I have T-shirts that say Christine across with the sledgehammer on it. Whatever. So I've been using like that. Basically, I kind of like when Negan did the Lucille in Walking Dead. That's how I do it. I basically talk it to it like it's real. I make it like so. Basically, I like last night or Friday when I brought her out, I hit the guy in the stomach, and then I gave her a kiss. And I said, "Hey, baby, how are you?" And
Mhm.
everybody was like, because I'm the bad guy. Everybody was living it up. They were like, some people are in it, some people are for it, but the people in Chicago Star Wrestling, they know that concept. They know what Christine is. It's not hard. It's hard for me to bring it to somewhere else because, like, Ken, I've been at 11 years, but there could be that one time where I go to a new show and people are not gonna, pick up on it. Like, hey, what's that? You know.
Mm.
So, but like, I probably have. So I just started the new Christine T-shirts.
Awesome. So like, can they go on like a website to buy them, or they would have to contact you to get the shirts,
They
Chris?
would probably have to contact. They would probably have to contact me. I don't know because one of the rookie guys I also been training. He's the one that made my shirts. Because him and his wife they make shirts. They got their own kind of little business, whatever. So he was able to make my shirts for me and stuff like that. So like I mean, if they contact me, I don't know how that would work, but yeah,
Um, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
no
I'll
problem.
definitely have to
Thanks for
have you
having
have
me.
back. No problem, man. I'm Joe Panther the Third. Your turn,
I'm Chris Miller, the career killer.
and we will catch you in the next one.